We're good to go.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll get my phone out.
Sorry.
Is that Love is Blind?
I was on Netflix.
I'm so glad I had hit record when that came on.
I was trying to remember what I'd been watching by going on Netflix.
By playing a full episode of Love is Blind directly into the microphone. Hello, and welcome back to the Cineskinny. It's the film podcast from the Skinny, and Jamie has gone to Rhodes on holiday, so he's doing very well from what I see from his Instagram stories. So that means it's me, Ellie.
Hello.
And Anahit.
Hi.
As you can tell, we're prepared, we're locked in, we're locked on, we're having a great time. And we're going to have a fun one, well, a chill one. I can't promise it's going to be fun, but it will be pretty laid back. We've been very busy recently, and we thought also nice to just have a little sit down and a chit-chat about the films, by which I mean we haven't prepared anything specific, but we do have a bunch of insane theories and mad chatter to get through. It's going to make a good bit of podcasting, so we'll have a nice time.
Also, there are no good films.
That's the other thing. We're in a weird lull. We're in a holding pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until LFF happens and then all the good films come out.
And then what do you do when you're in a holding pattern? Just have some fun with it. Like they say in flight school, just have some fun with it.
Vibe.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about a little bit of stuff that we've been watching. We're going to talk about some of our favourite comfort watches, some of the best films we've seen so far this year, things we're looking forward to in the rest of the year, and various grievances and complaints that we have with each other and with the world of cinema. It's going to be great fun. If anyone wants to take a shot at Jamie Dunn, he's not here to defend himself. I'm excited. Everyone else is excited. Let the laughter flow. We'll maybe come to Ellie first. And we'll just, you know what? We'll start with a fun one. The one that we always do. What have you been watching? It's the podcast within a podcast where we just talk for a certain amount of time about films that we've watched fairly recently. Or television. Or just anything you've been watching. Mm-hmm. You know, it's good. I'm not playing for time or anything. I'm just trying to
it feels like you're
just trying to expound on what we're going to be doing. Trying to cover for the fact that I have very few notes. But I do have them on my phone, so we're good to go.
Yeah, we don't have a document for the first time in this podcast.
Yes, we do. I shared it with you.
About 10 minutes ago.
Ellie, what have you been...
Okay.
Ellie, what have you been watching?
Check your emails.
All right, I'll do that.
I've been watching films and TV.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
I've caught up with some of the things that people were talking about when I was away 3 episodes ago. So I watched 28 Years Later, and I watched Superman. All right. Superman, people told me, it's sort of perfect for what it is. It's not hugely ambitious. It's not breaking the mold, but at the same time, it's not doing the really annoying superhero-y quotes, quips, inside references. It's not an annoying superhero film, and I fully agree with that. But I did feel a little bit is that really the best that we can do? Because I feel that sort of deciding to just jump in with this Superman and not make it an origin story is such a strong, good choice. Because we all know who Superman is, we all know how it works, and. Was his name David Corsenwet? Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
He's really good. And the casting is really good. And there's a lot of fun ideas behind that film. But you'd think that because we were getting away from the origin story, we wouldn't need to kind of just keep treading on the stuff that everybody knows. And it still felt very much like that. The actual plot itself, Lex Luthor being a bastard. And there is this sort of war happening, which, I mean, again, highlights just how fucked things are that you can't even make a film about Superman trying to stop an unjust war without people correctly identifying it as a parable for modern day problems. But at the same time, it does at times feel quite white saviory.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
so is what you're saying that Superman's gone woke but not woke enough?
That's pretty much what woke is, isn't it? That's why you shouldn't cast James Bond as I don't know, a cool young zillennial person, because James Bond is the fantasy of British colonialism.
I agree with this so much, and one of my friends rolled her eyes when I said this. Mm-hmm. But this whole James Bond should be a woman, James Bond should be a person of color. James Bond is a symbol of empire.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing these days, the most interesting Daniel Craig ones were when they were oh, how do we reckon with this kind of artifact of a past time that is still, and that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Being oh, now he's yeah, that's actually that's not anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I'm all for equality. Women can also be misogynistic weapons of the state as well.
That's very of a piece of that with that thing that people being like the third best employer in the UK for LGBTQ people is like GCHQ. And it's like, well, maybe, yeah, but also, come on.
Yeah, maybe James Bond is for the girlies. But anyway, Superman was lovely. Superman was, I had a good time with it, but I didn't feel like it was that mind-blowing. I guess that's what everyone's saying, is it's at least it's not bad. 28 Years Later, also very good. The ending, which we won't spoil, but everyone who's seen it knows that the ending is the big part of it. It did, for me, like, broach my own personal ick level of, like, exploitation of, like, real-life horrible stuff. But up until that point, because, again, it's kind of such an ass pool, the film itself is not really about it, I did really appreciate that. How do you kind of come up with a new idea for a zombie film in 2025? And it's a lot less like the kind of point of The Walking Dead or even 28 Days Later, which is all about like survival at any cost. But 28 Years Later seemed to be more about working on a healthy relationship with death, accepting death. And that felt like slightly new. And then immediately, like, I'm just not that fussed about the second one, even though it was good. Because like 28 Years Later Part 2, do you know what the subtitle is?
There's going to be another one?
Yeah, they're doing another one, right?
Yes, and it's called, do you know what it's called?
The Bone Temple.
The Bone Temple.
Which doesn't...
Step into the Bone Temple.
Not even...
I will call the police.
I get that you can't... There's a naming convention, and they've had to just ditch it, because they can't call it, like, 28 years and 6 months later, right? So they can't actually do that.
Or 28 decades later.
28
I guess would be
decades
the
later.
Next one, which is too much,
That's set on Mars or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but also, the Bone Temple, are you fucking kidding me? Also,
That's
the Bone Temple was a
crazy.
thing in 28 Years Later, so it's like... 28 Years Later Part 1 should be the Bone Temple. I'm just complaining about titles now.
Yeah, and also, like, you're going to get, like, you will get sent to HR so quickly if you say to someone, join me in the Bone Temple. Like, you can't do that. It's not on. Can I have 2 tickets for the Bone Temple? Why are all these sirens going off?
And in terms of TV, I watched the first season of Ted Lasso, which I really enjoyed. It's a very, very cute show. It's very, very optimistic. It's very, very upbeat. It's quite funny. I think that it does. It's crazy that it like was the most Emmy-nominated first season of a TV show ever. Like, I guess it really, really hit when it came out. But to me, some of it's like, I don't know, UK-US solidarity optimism does feel a little already dated 5 years later. So I don't know. I'll continue with the second and third season, and hopefully they're... I'm assuming that they are like a little bit more advanced, a little bit better, more interesting. Oh,
No,
really?
No.
I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was the kind of show that would have only gotten better.
No, it gets worse. Yeah. It really entrenches itself in that weird sentimentality.
Yeah.
And then loses all of the comedy.
Like, there is that thing where they'll just say, like, oh, he doesn't know what a Jaffa Cake is or something like that. And you're like, oh, that's cute. Is it funny? It can be. Jason Sudeikis can sometimes carry it, but a lot of the time it's just about, like, folks at home, whether you are a US watcher or a UK watcher, can be like, thing. That self-referential kind of quippy, annoying thing in the Marvel films that I was talking about. It's just like, do you recognize?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a bit disappointing to hear that they steer more into that and less into the comedy. But I'm still going to see that and check it out.
Yeah, I
like,
would watch
whatever
it.
it is, it
Yeah.
is. But it shows that go badly can still be fun to watch. You know?
Yeah,
But that's what I've been watching.
Nice. Some good, varied things there. Don't know what that was. That's a perfect segue into what Anahit's been watching. Anahit's been watching Love is Blind, haven't you?
No, I actually haven't. I just watched the reunion. I just told you that. I can tell you what I've been watching, and then everyone at home can guess as to my mental state. I watched 6 seasons of Boy Meets World. That was great. I really enjoyed that. I started watching 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, but I don't think anyone is mentally ill enough to really need to do that. I watched High School Musical for the first time. I'd never seen High School Musical
What did you
before.
think?
I thought it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, actively not good.
No, like very poorly made.
Yeah, I thought it was meant to be good.
No,
But
if you're
not.
like 9 years old.
Yeah.
And then it changes your brain chemistry when you're 9 years old.
Yeah.
So that it always... I didn't watch it as a kid. So I've been to, and I shit you not, like, when I was in university, like, flat parties where people would put it on all the time. And because they were all the age...
When it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would all go nuts for it. And despite the fact that I think I genuinely must have seen it all the way through, I could not actually tell you. I like that... I remember liking that the bullies join in at the end.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice, but the rest... Yeah.
It's very whatever.
Yeah.
It's very, and like it is actually a made for TV Disney Channel-y film.
Yeah.
And I think I thought it was a Disney film.
No.
But it's not.
No.
No.
It's a decom, babe.
Yeah. So that was really bad. There was one day where I watched Never Been Kissed, Shallow Hal, and A Cinderella Story back to back. That was a real highlight. Shallow Hal I'd seen before as a kid. It's very bad. Never Been Kissed, not good, I would say. Really creepy. Really.
I've not seen that one.
It's the one where she like goes undercover. She's a journalist. And she wants to research something in high schools, and so she goes undercover as a high schooler and then falls in love with a teacher. Do you know what I mean? It's
That's
that
so
fucking
bad.
insane.
I want to research something. What is that? Kids. Sorry. I hear those police cars are on their way from the Bone Temple right now.
Actively unhinged. And then I rewatched Cheer because I wanted to feel motivated and
Is Cheer that series that's about
the cheerleaders. Yeah.
Oh.
That was, I mean, it is a really, really good show. I watched a couple of Disney cartoons. That was quite nice. I watched one season of The Golden Girls. That was actually really good. And then I watched Materialists and Freakier Friday in the cinema, like an adult.
Nice.
Thank you.
Are either of them any good?
Freakier Friday rocks. That was really fun. Like, really, do you like the first one? Have you seen the first one?
I've seen the first one, yeah.
I think I've seen
like
the
the
first
first
one,
one. Yeah, good. It's Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes. Yeah. It's very much of a piece with that. Like, it's very sequely, you know, they bring everyone back, but it's done in a way that's actually really, like, quite wholesome and sweet and smart. And all of the callbacks feel just quite nice rather than forced or manipulative in some way. So, yeah, I just thought it was really, like, charming and fun. Materialists, I thought was bad. Which was sad because I really liked Past Lives, but it was not for me. It's just a very, and obviously not all TV or film or whatever has to be like relatable. And I think it's trying to say something about modern dating and class, but it's doing it in such a way that I found so alienating because it's about a matchmaker who, for herself and for her clients, everyone is just obsessed with like a man that makes at least $300,000 a year. And I'm like, that's your problem with men? Like, that can't be it. So I found that quite weird. And I didn't,
Yeah. Also a very weird thing to watch from, like, a British perspective.
Yeah.
Where, like, what, so you want, like, because somebody who makes over £300,000 a year in Britain would be, like, a kind of ham-headed investment banker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has never taken their tie off in the past, like, 15 years.
Yeah.
No.
Or, like, a
exactly.
literal member of, like, the UAE royal family.
Yes. Yeah. Those are your options.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did not find it in any way interesting or compelling. Sorry to her. But yeah, that's why I've been watching.
Lovely. A mixed bag.
Yeah, truly.
I've hardly been watching anything for reasons we'll get onto shortly, which leads on to the next bit of the podcast. But one thing we have been watching is The Office US. So they're bringing out this new one called The Paper with Domhnall Gleeson, which is supposedly a kind of set in the same universe type thing, set at like a newspaper company.
But it's by the people that made The Office?
It's by the people who made The Office.
Wow, okay.
And it starts this weekend, actually. It's on one of the Sky ones. I think it's on like Sky Max or something like that.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that could be fine. But we've been watching The American Office, and we stopped watching The American Office when they put Ed Helms in charge. Because in my mind, it ends when Will Ferrell's character is like not quite killed, but goes into that coma when he tries to dunk the basketball in the office. Because I think like Michael Scott character has this big kind of like character arc, and then he moves to be with Holly and Holly's parents, and then like that's the end of the show.
Yeah,
I want
I
to see
agree.
Ed Helms fannying about, being like,
Didn't they do a whole thing where they tried a bunch of different like new bosses?
well, they have their Will Ferrell comes in for a bit. When's Robert California in it? You know, James Spader.
James Spader's character, yeah, that's more slightly further on, isn't it? And then that's when they like merge it with another company. And then also, what's her name?
Because the Kathy Bates
There we
stuff
go.
is like, I think that's when Michael's still there. Because
Yeah, you're right.
he goes and does the press conference after all the printers start catching on fire, and then he gets her
Yeah.
to do him the favor of like trying to get Holly to come back to thingy.
Yeah.
And then Toby does the Scranton Strangler jury case, and then that's when Holly comes back. I mean, it's an all right show. That's what I will say. It's very watchable. And then we've just started like rewatching it again because for reasons that I will explain shortly, So we got Prison Mike again, which was good fun.
Wait, you went back to season
We
1?
went back to the start.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Because
I've never seen the first season. I've seen other seasons, but I started the first season, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not terrible, but it is nothing but the cringe. There's nothing but the fact that Michael Scott is the worst and is just going to do the worst. And they're much like inhibiting the exact same sort of niche that the UK office had, which I think they're just maybe not as good at doing, or just, I don't know, it doesn't fall as well for me. So I couldn't watch it. I found it too aggravating. But then when I skipped and went on to the second season, that feels a lot more like the show.
yeah, I think the thing about the British office is Gervais is genuinely a punchable cunt.
Yeah.
So like it makes perfect sense for him to be playing that character,
Yeah.
whereas like Steve Carell is a bit more likable, and that makes it weirdly less believable.
Yeah, I agree. I always start watching at the Dundee's
the start of the second series.
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
Because it's that thing of like he is actually what they do quite well in the American one is they do make him kind of almost accidentally in a kind of like savant way competent. Like he can actually do the job. It's just that he's a complete social oaf. Whereas Gervais is just a twat.
Yeah.
I'll get that in one more time just in case we missed it the first couple of times. So the reason I've been watching more of the American Office is because my television is broken, you see. What's happened is the television is very old, and now it comes on perfectly fine, and then turns itself off after like 10 minutes, and it keeps turning itself on and off, and then you can't get it to stop turning itself on and off. I think there's some problem with some internal part of the television.
I see.
Anyway, this is all to say that I'm currently in a non-ideal watching setup because we're watching episodes of TV on a laptop perched on a little seat while we have our dinner. So I was going to ask the pair of you, what is your typical watching setup for you? Because we watch a lot of films for this podcast. We watch a lot of TV and films in our general lives. What's your typical setup, and what is then your favourite place or way to watch a film? Because some people like the cinema. Some people like the wonders of their home cinema. Some people have projectors. My brother's got a projector. It's not impressive, but it's pretty cool. It's fine. Good on him.
Yeah.
Good on him, I say. But yeah, so Ellie, typically when you're watching a film, we talked a little bit about this up in the office. What's your typical...
So, yeah.
What's the build?
Laptop.
Nice.
On a little, like, beanbag.
Yep.
HDMI cable into my second-hand LG TV, and I'm sat on the couch with a Bluetooth USB mouse so I can continue to pause and play. Is that extra? That feels silly, but like...
That's great. I mean, I don't think you should have to get up, frankly.
I'm kind of in the same spot as you where like TVs now are garbage. Like TVs are really, really bad and they just crash all the time because they're like loaded with apps that you don't need, and you know
a TV shouldn't be able to crash. I'm sorry, I've not orchestrated this at like this is Peter's rant corner. A TV shouldn't be able to crash. Saying a TV has crashed is like saying that your toaster has crashed.
Yeah, I like
it's either on or it's not.
It was
surely.
like years
Come on.
ago where I had this older TV and I was like, well, it was older then, but like it was still one of these contemporaneous TVs. Smart TVs is what some people call them.
Yeah,
they're not smart at all. I was in the middle of
they call them smart TVs.
I remember
I
being
couldn't disagree
in the middle
more.
Of Wallace and Gromit Grand Day Out, and it like just froze, and it wasn't Netflix or whatever I was watching it on. It wasn't like, I don't know, it was the TV. The TV could no longer just play anything, and I had to like hard reboot it, and I'm like, what is going on? Why am I having to troubleshoot my TV? It's literally a box that was invented 100 years ago to have a picture in it. How have we not perfected this yet? And now I'm kind of really stuck because like this TV's really getting on, and I know you just asked what my setup is, but I'm just going on a tangent. I don't know where to go and buy a TV that's like a new TV that can provide a good quality image that isn't got a remote control that is listening all the time and waiting to give you a Google or Alexa or Siri.
Do they all do that now?
They are all listening in all the time.
Oh,
You cannot buy one that doesn't. We actually went to, what is it called? Curry's PC World, and could not find one that didn't have like inbuilt Amazon Alexa listening all the time, which is grim. But that's my setup. My ideal setup, I guess, is cinema, because that's just the best one. And my least favorite setup is, I don't know, anything that involves Amazon listening to me.
Yeah, because we've got the previous RIP setup was just like it's like a 15-year-old TV with a Roku box plugged into it, which then you get the best of both worlds, right? Because I bought the cheap Roku box that can't listen to you. It was like 25 quid and it can't eavesdrop on my shitty conversations. Sign me up. So then I had that. And the ideal, I think, I like going to a medium-sized cinema I don't want to be in a really big room because then inevitably I won't get the seat that I want. I find that like a smaller cinema, you're kind of like 60 to 100, that's the sweet spot, because then they tend to just be like rectangles where every seat is as good as each other. One thing I don't like is going to the IMAX, because unless you get like one of 12 good seats, you're kind of sat watching giant David Byrne at some incredibly awkward angle.
Yeah,
like that bit
craning.
like when they go to see the big head in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And he's sort of projected at a 45-degree angle on the wall. So yeah, I think... And also, what I do like as well is when you have your TV plugged into your laptop, because we watch glimpse behind the curtain, we watch a lot of screeners for this. The film companies very generously and very helpfully send us the films. They send them in various different formats and various different ways. Sometimes they'll just send you a lovely Vimeo link, which you can, if you're anything like me, get on your phone, cast to your TV, jobs are the good one, right? Sometimes you can only watch them in the browser, and then that means you have to plug your computer into your TV. But then that means that you end up with a dual screen setup where it's like picture in picture, but the same thing in both, because your laptop still keeps just playing the film out on the laptop while it's also on the TV. And you were telling me that you constantly just end up watching the wrong screen and getting told off for
Yeah,
it.
Lou keeps pointing out, like, are you enjoying this? Because he thinks I'm just not looking at the TV, but I'm just sort of like staring. I suppose he must think I'm just staring at the floor, but I'm actually staring at the laptop.
I'm watching my own private film over in the corner, and it turns out it's exactly the same one that we're all watching. So yes, Anahit, where do you like to watch a film?
I mean,
and how do you watch a film? Pick answer either. It's honestly fine. We're filling time perfectly competently. So I mean, take as much or as little as this question as you want.
Thank you so much. I obviously prefer the cinema, obviously, but sometimes you don't want to leave your house.
When you say obviously prefer the cinema, I mean you don't have to prefer this. Some people don't. Some people don't like the cinema. I think they're wrong, but let's interrogate why they think this.
But I don't know. I just think it is actually so much nicer to be in. I love a third space. I love leaving your house. I love not really being able to access your phone. Like, I love the kind of focus that it allows. It still feels like psychologically to me, I think it sets off that little like thing in my brain as a child where I'm like, oh my God, we're in the cinema. Like, it just feels exciting. But yeah, sometimes you don't want to leave your house.
It makes the film feel more like a treat.
Yeah, exactly.
Even when it's exactly the same film you could watch. Yeah,
100%. So that is kind of what I would prefer to do. I used to have a hard drive, like this legendary hard drive that had about a decade's worth of pirated material on it. That was so great. And so what I would do, you can just like plug it into, I have like a smart TV, but it's quite little. I think it's only like, it's essentially the size of an iMac maybe. And I would plug it in and then I would watch things on there. But that broke about like a year ago and I haven't replaced it yet.
And all the data is like gone?
Yeah, but did you not hear about this whole like thing, this drama when I took it to the place like up the road from here? And I was like, could you like check what it is? And they were like, yeah, we'll have a look. Didn't say anything else. And then they called me and they were like, yeah, it'll be like £170 or something to retrieve all the data. And I was like, well, the whole point of this was there was like pirated material. For the police listening, it wasn't, and this is all a lie. But it was pirated material, so I'm not going to pay £170 for that. That's fucking crazy. And so I was like, okay, no, it's all right. And then at around that time, I think I was like going through some fucking drama in my life, and also I was like moving house, so I just never went to collect it. And they kept ringing me with like increasing irritation. And I was just a bit like, girl, just throw it away. What do you want from me? But eventually they were like, we've called you so many times. Could you please come here and get it? And I was like, okay. Right. So I went and they were like, okay, so it's 170 to recover the data. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And then they were like, okay, so it'll be £80 for the diagnostic. And so I had to, and I was just like, so you didn't tell me this. And he immediately started reacting as if I was being some like bitchy white woman in his space and was like, would you like me to go in, find you the manager? And I was like, yeah, girl. Yeah. Like, I'm not paying to buy back my broken hard drive. Yeah. And then they came back and they were like, yeah, the best we can do is 40. So I had to spend £40 to buy back this broken hard drive.
Wild that you haggled them down.
Yeah.
Good, I guess.
Yeah, but still, yeah, anyway, so no.
You've learned so much from the bitchy white women.
Yeah. I think they would have refused. But also I had signed, anyway, whatever. That doesn't matter. Point being, the hard drive is gone. The hard drive is no longer RIP the hard drive. So I need to get a new one, and I need to build that back up, because I think what has happened, and especially since moving house, because the TV is like a bit more tucked away in a corner, I mostly just watch things on my laptop, which just isn't as... I think, again, it allows for this kind of transient quality to the things that you're watching. Like, sometimes I will literally, the film will be playing in the background, and I will go onto the web browser and search for some things while the noise of it is just playing, which is crazy, and should be illegal. But I do it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it is nice to be able to focus, but...
I wish I was a projector girly, but I imagine that you just have to spend a lot of money
on a good one
to get a good one.
Yeah.
I know some people who have, like, cheap ones.
I have a shitty one, and it's okay. Like, it's kind of fun as a thing, but it doesn't replace...
No.
The TV.
And I'm not, like, obsessed with quality, but it's just that thing where it's like, I just always get, like... Whenever someone's parent is getting rid of their TV, this is how we got the one we have right now. It's just like people get rid of their TVs. Yeah. Older, richer people than me get rid of their TVs, and I have them. And it's like, I think that a shitty projector is probably a lower quality than that. Obviously, a good projector would be much better, but I don't have the money for that.
Yeah, it's that thing as well that it seems like projectors, there's a default, there's big, which would ironically be kind of like cheap, because I think it's really hard to project a good quality image onto a small space or at a short distance. And given that we all live in small flats where the distances are short.
Yeah. I'd have to take a lot of posters down as well. I don't have a wall just for
This
films.
is the thing. And I think even if you have a good quality projector, project onto a wall, it never looks as good as if it were on a screen. And so you need room for a screen. And at that point, you may as well just have a TV.
At that point, you may as well just go to the movies.
Yeah, exactly. Leave your fucking house. So yeah, that's my setup.
What a way to leave that bit, though. Just leave your fucking house. This podcast can come with you. Well, let's continue talking about Anahit's pirated hard drive. Well, not specifically about that, but this was a question I've been thinking about, because obviously we talk a lot about like rewatches and things like that. So what do you think is the film that you've watched the most in your life? If you need a moment, I'll come to Ellie. I think Ellie had longer with the document and maybe has something prepared. I wonder whose fault that was. Had longer to prepare.
So if we are... Now, I'm reading myself for filth here, but if we really are doing the film that I've probably watched the most, when I was 6 years old, I got the DVD release of the Spongebob Squarepants movie.
Oh my god, huge.
Now,
let's
to this
fucking go.
day, I could probably write a doctoral dissertation about this film. It's got a Campbellian narrative structure. It has lots of allusions to the Odyssey. It is, of course, like a goofy fucking cartoon kids film. But what's most interesting about it is where it's borrowing its cultural references from. So if you think about like Shrek is a heavily like referential series of films, not just in the fact that the characters are like Pinocchio and I don't know, Gingerbread Man and stuff like that, but like in Shrek 2 they reference Zorro with this quick throwaway gag where he uses a sword like that. They reference Some Like It Hot when the like, you know, the air comes up and Marilyn Monroe covers her dress and stuff like that. SpongeBob is a lot like that, but it's slightly more abstracted, which makes me so much more curious about it. So, like, they go to this... Like, so to begin with, like, SpongeBob has this dream that he's the manager of the Krusty Krab, and in his dream, because it's obviously the most, like, flattering image of himself, he shows up wearing these, like, cowboy boots, and the entire Krusty Krab has been evacuated. There's a police cordon around it, and there's reporters everywhere because someone has been served a burger without cheese. And he's been left alone, sat with his burger, shivering in the middle of the restaurant. And SpongeBob, like, walks in like a cowboy, and he's like, tell me your name, what's going on? And he, like, gets tools out, like forceps, to put the cheese on the burger, as if it's some big, like, you know, elaborate, delicate thing. But the guy's freaking out. He's like, you got a wife? You got a name? Tell me your kid's name. Come on, stay with me, Phil, stay with me. And I was watching this, and I was like, as a grown-up, I was like, oh, it's like, you know, a suicide vest scene or something? Because it's like, it's clearly got, like, a bomb disposal element, but in films where there's bomb disposal, you never have a nervous guy who's just forced to be there, who's not participating, unless he's attached to the bomb somehow. So I'm like, that's weird. That's weird that, like, it is clearly referencing that kind of thing. And there's a bit later on where they go to, like, this tough men's bar where there's like a bunch of like muscly characters who are beating each other up all the time. They need to get their like car key off of this one guy in here, like steal it off of him. When SpongeBob and Patrick, they find a soap dispenser in the bathroom that blows bubbles, so they get really excited about it because it's a dumb kids movie and they have like a little bubble party. But then when the tough guys notice that there's bubbles, they're like, oh, there's a bubble blowing baby somewhere here in the bar. So they line everyone up and they play kids music to see which of them breaks and has to sing along. And then they beat up whoever is non-masculine enough. And it's like, there's something incredibly, like, I don't know, homoerotic about that. That they're looking for someone. I'm trying to think of what it is that they're possibly referencing in this tough biker bar where they line all the men up and, like, find the way in which they are insufficient as, like, you know, men to, like, beat them, to, like, treat them with violence. It's like they're kind of, and apologies for using a slur, but they're, like, weeding out the fags or something like that. Like, they're, it's just so strange. And it's like, I don't know, the kind of, like, that's what it is like, the film, the original, like, SpongeBob SquarePants movie adaptation. It's got these constant, like, cultural references, which, if you're watching with a kind of film critic lens being like, what is it they're pointing to here? Where is the reference coming from? It's always just a much more, like, decidedly non-family friendly place than you'd expect. So, yeah, that is probably the film that I've watched the most and probably could talk about the most, but I'm going to stop now.
Oh, man, I can't wait until the one day when there's, like, we have to pull Ellie off the bench to be like, you need to do the full hour on SpongeBob SquarePants. Jamie fell in that volcano after all. Anahit, you've got that to follow.
Yes.
What do you think is the film that you've seen the most, or the film that you go back to the most?
The film I've probably seen the most is probably the one I did write a doctoral dissertation on, which would be the Lord of the Rings films, I would say. I think I've seen them. Probably The Two Towers is the one that I've watched the most, if we're being specific about the film, but generally that trilogy, since they came out, at least once a year with regularity. I think there are other films that I've seen a bit more obsessively, like, have been a bit hyper-fixated on them for like a few months or something, or a couple of years, and watched them a lot. But that one, I think, definitely is like clockwork. Like, I haven't seen it in a wee while. The wee while being, let's see, actually, when is the last time I watched these films? And I feel antsy. Like, I feel a bit like, oh, I'm due a rewatch. And then every now and then I'll talk to someone and they'll be like, yeah, I haven't watched them in, like, since they came out, in about 10 years. And I'm like, what are you doing with your life? Wow, I haven't seen the first one in a while. No wonder I feel weird. Yeah, so I would say those, definitely. Like, at least 25 times.
Is that for the whole trilogy or per film?
Well, for the whole trilogy, but also per film. Because
Touche. I wasn't sure whether they're going combined or sequential.
They are the kind of films that, like, I don't think I'll ever stop watching.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever not be watching. Again, it's I think that I'm generally roughly once a year, but it is the thing where it's weird because it's kind of an event, because everyone's like, oh, let's do the trilogy or let's do the extended editions or something like that. And only just recently did I, like, just start picking and choosing ones.
Yes.
And just, like, you know, off the fly going for, like, Return of the King or going for Fellowship of the Ring without the intention of doing the whole way through it. And it's still just as good. It gives you what you need.
Yep.
As if you were watching the entire extended trilogy, because they're so great.
My thing with the Lord of the Rings is that it has been turned into an endurance test, and I don't think it should be. Like, I think it is actually okay to watch them one by one, like a normal person, over the course of several days. Yeah. Like, you don't actually have to mainline them all. Although there was one really great time, I think I have told this story before, but I don't know if I've told it on here, when Ro, our theatre editor, this was like way back in the day, I think it was at the end of 2019 maybe, they often do like a big extended editions, like trilogy marathon thing, and I went over, I watched like the first film with them, I was into the second film, and then I went out to Sneaky's, and when I think Free Love were playing. I think it was that night that Free Love were playing at Sneaky's in like the end of 2019, and then had like a little dance, came back at about like 2-3 in the morning, just in time for the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. It was great. Actually, would really recommend.
Nice. It's hard to organise, but if you can get it right.
What a time. What would you say your most watched film is?
I don't know, because I was thinking about this when I wrote this question down to ask other people. I think often things like those, like I think I've watched all the kind of Christopher Guest, like Spinal Tap and Best in Show and stuff, watched them quite a lot. I think there's like certain... I kind of want to ask this question as well. I think there's films that you watch a lot, and then there's film that, because they have this other Lord of the Rings thing that they're like very deep, and there's like always stuff to get kind of back into, or the Spongebob Squarepants thing where they have like a very particular connection to like what you're up to. There's some films that you watch because like they're just a very comfortable like thing to get in, and you kind of like, once you know where all the jokes are, it's like if you see somebody do a bit of stand-up comedy and then you recognise them about to do that same bit again, you're like, this is going to be good. And then you start annoying the people around you by like saying everything either just before or just after it's been said by the comic on stage. I think I've probably seen Spinal Tap. That might be one of the films I've watched the most. Just in that very kind of like, I'm a man in his 30s who thinks he's funny kind of way. So it's like, I must learn.
You're funny.
I must learn all these jokes so I can annoy other people with them. So I suppose like, follow on to the film you've watched the most, do either of you have a kind of like comfort watch film that you come back to that you know maybe isn't like the best film you've ever seen in your life, but has that kind of thing where like you get really into like the rhythms of it and then you can like just stick it on in the background in that way, like the opposite of going to watch a film that you really like at the cinema. You know, when you were saying about like sometimes I'll just have the film on and I'll also be on the internet. What's your film that's on while you're on the internet?
My like anxiety cure comfort watch is Mona Lisa Smile. I really, really love... Have you guys seen that film?
Is that the one with... Is that Julia Roberts?
Yeah, it's the Julia Roberts one. It's got like a crazy cast, actually. Kirsten Dunst, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jennifer Goodwin, like Julia Stiles, and it's set at like an all-women's college in the 1950s, and this like... You know, it was called... what do you call it? Dead Poet Society for Women at the time it came out. So it's this like very hippie-ish, free spirit art history teacher comes to this college in the 1950s where still most of the women are kind of, you know, they're going to like elocution classes and they're going to this is how you throw your husband a dinner party classes. And she kind of like upheaves the whole thing. There is something really comforting about it. There was... should I tell this story on the podcast?
I say tell it, and then if it turns out to be libelous or too troublesome, we can always cut it out afterwards.
I think it's just like stupid.
My favourite kind, carry on.
3 days after a breakup, I was like very, very sad, and I was on Field. And there was this like guy that came over. Well, he wouldn't stop texting me, and he kept being like, you know, like in a sort of, oh, you're in... Toll Cross, I'm in Morningside. Crazy, that's so close. Like that kind of way. And at a certain point, I was like really, really stoned and I was really sad. And I was like, listen, man, if you want to come over, you can come over. But which I have never done before nor since. Mostly because I thought something like this would happen and it did happen. But he seemed like nice and he seemed cute or whatever. So he came, I was watching Erin Brockovich, like very sad. And he turns up and he was just very like, I think he was like quite young actually. He was from New York. He had very like theatre kid energy. The main thing I could think of was Ro would hate this man, which is like really kind of kills whatever boner that you could have possibly had. I think I spent most of the time counselling him about whether he should stay in the country for his masters or not. Like it was just, the whole thing was like quite disastrous. But we were watching Erin Brockovich and I was trying to fill up the silence because he was just being very, anyway. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just find films like this, like these kind of like slightly autumnally, you know, that they're set in offices with wood, like really comforting. There's just something about them, like the When Harry Met Sally thing. And he said, and it was maybe the only useful thing that came out of that entire interaction, he was like, yeah, there's films that are just like kind of orange. There's just something that's quite like... And Mona Lisa Smile is very orange, is I think what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean?
Weirdly, I do.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he was actually really right.
I'm not sure what the purpose of the anecdote was. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Maybe he should have finished as a master's, I don't know.
The purpose of the anecdote was that he said it. There wasn't, I'm crediting.
You're citing your sources.
I'm citing my sources. Anyway, yeah, I find that film really, I don't know, there's something about it, the rhythms of it. It has that kind of thing that films about women and the noughties had. You know, like the Elle Woods on the treadmill montage quality, a kind of, you can fix your life and all it requires is a bit of like, you know, oomph.
Yeah.
Which has not proven to be true, it turns out.
Girl bossing.
But it really is. But like mental girl, like emotional girl bossing. Like you can emotionally girl boss yourself into being like, my life is ahead of me and I can do whatever I want. I really like that.
The fantasy that someone could have emotional oomph that didn't come from doing enormous amounts of cocaine.
Exactly. No one in that film is doing cocaine, but they seem really happy. I don't know. I just find it really, really comforting.
Well, good for them. Ellie, have you got any advance on Mona Lisa Smile? Or any bizarre anecdotes that might have to be cut out afterwards?
Yeah, I guess I don't know the extent to which this is an orange film, but so I guess I'll talk now about what I did over the weekend, which was that we had a Pride and Prejudice watch party, or rather my partner hosted a Pride and Prejudice watch party. He did all the work. I did nothing. I was practically a guest. I had a great time. But this is Pride and Prejudice. Is it 2005, the Joe Wright film? With Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadyen. Lou also did a post-text PowerPoint presentation explaining the Regency era class system in a way that, despite the fact that I've seen that film multiple times, and we had people who've like read the book and seen all the adaptations, it genuinely seemed to inform everyone a little bit better about the film. But that film is great because it is like, I was saying this to you earlier, Anahit, like, unlike maybe the BBC series, which is a really strict adaptation where it's very historically accurate, like all of the costuming and all of the set design is like specifically for the time and place that it's meant to be set, and like it very closely follows how the scenes go in the book. The Joe Wright film is like very sexy, and like they're standing in the rain and you know, they're wearing just sort of like whatever clothes would kind of be hot at the time. Everyone's hair is wild. Like Matthew McFadyen's hair is pretty wild because he's meant to have kind of like a boy band swoop, but in a way that's crazy. Like 2005, so it's kind of bad, but they're also trying to make it believably workable with his fake sideburns. And the boy who plays Mr. Bingley just looks like Harry Styles, but ginger. It's just completely wild. Keira Knightley's got a full face of makeup in a very like modern way. So it is quite naff, but it is one of those things that's just, it's so unbelievably, like, I don't know, fun to watch. And again, in a way where it is very like giggly and chaotic, and all the characters are kind of like running all over the place. And the sort of like ballroom scenes are shot like the dance scenes in the Titanic, where there's like a fiddle player and everyone's sort of like clambering all over each other in a way that is so like unrealistic to how it would have actually been. But at the same time, like it is enjoyable for, I guess it's like 2000s sensibilities and kind of the nostalgia there. And that was just such a great time, to the point where everyone who had seen that film was just shouting out the lines before they appeared. I fucking love Mr. Collins, who is the cousin who is like a clergyman who has incredibly rehearsed manners and is clearly just like reading the things that he has to say to be polite out of a book somewhere. And goes on like, what absolutely excellent boiled potatoes. I can scarcely say I've encountered such an exemplary vegetable. And Lou had made boiled vegetables and everyone fucking cheered when he'd said that line. But we also, because I didn't know about this, we also watched the bonus clip at the end of the film for the US release.
Oh, yeah.
So this is like a big thing with this film that I had no idea about, because the film kind of ends on just a weird note. It ends when, in the UK version, when Elizabeth essentially tells her father that she's going to be marrying Darcy. And that's a very beautiful scene where like he starts crying with joy when he sees how in love she is. But again, I think not very accurate to the book, and also just like, just weird how much that film sort of centers the father-daughter relationship, but in a way that like it doesn't seem to know why it's doing that. But the US release involves this really weird scene afterwards where they're like sitting at night in front of Pemberley, where there's like fire pits on around them. It looks like the end of The Traitors. Like, and they're like rubbing each other and like whispering sexy things to each other in a way that they have not the entirety of the film. Like their chemistry throughout the film is so atrocious, and that's why the love is real. That's how you know it's real. But the fact that like you get this sort of insight into what they're like when they're like, I don't know, revving each other up, it's just not right. It's just not right.
That's not right. And also you shouldn't be able to like Blade Runner Pride and Prejudice. Like just end it when it ends, fuck's sake.
But what about you? Do you have a...
I don't really think I had one, to be honest. I think I just thought of a question that would be good to ask other people.
You don't have like a comfort watch?
I don't know that I do. I mean, I just stick on old episodes of The Simpsons.
Okay, yeah, but that counts.
I suppose that counts. Yeah.
What about The Simpsons movie?
Oh, no, that's shit. Well, it's not shit. Like, it's all right, The Simpsons movie. It's just like, it's from beyond a time when The Simpsons was good.
It's a little too late.
Yeah, and I also think that, like, The Simpsons, it's like Simpsons movie parodies and, like, things like that are so, like, woven in. It's almost like it's going the wrong direction to make a film out of The Simpsons when actually you can just make Simpsons out of films. Like, you can have, they're never going to top, like, Stop the Planet of the Apes, I Want to Get Off, the musical within an episode of The Simpsons, which is Troy McClure, the very, very bad actor, gets a gig as the lead in a Planet of the Apes musical, which has 3 amazing songs in it. They do like a kind of quick cut montage of him on opening night. The plot of that musical doesn't make it just ends with him shouting "I love you, Dr. Zaius," and then the curtain coming down.
I remember I hate every
ape I see, from chimpanzee A to chimpanzee, no, you'll never make a monkey out of me. And then the Statue of Liberty appears from behind the rock, and he does a continued verse about how he was wrong all along, and it was Earth. And they did make a monkey out of him. And then he says he loves Dr. Zaius. But no, I don't have any things I keep going back to and know loads about. And we'll finish with some serious actual film chat so that Jamie doesn't shout at us when he comes back from Greece. So, films of the year so far and films we're looking forward to in the rest of the year to come. A few things that have been good so far, I say, looking through my letterboxd very quickly before we came down to the studio/meeting room. Sinners was very good in terms of like big films. In terms of small films, Laura Carrera's film On Falling was very good. It was also this year, so
yeah, that feels crazy.
It feels wrong, but there you go.
When did that come out?
It came out in February.
I was thinking it's very wintry when it came out.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just no stopping this year. It's only September. My God. And also a kind of wild card. There's been some interesting kind of like wild card films so far this year. Dreams that we reviewed on the pod a couple of goes ago. That was really good. They're actually showing like some of the other films in that trilogy at various places around the country this week. I might go and see, I can't remember whether it's Sex or Love. Is that the other one? Yeah. One of them is on at the Film House later in the week, so I might try and go and see that. But yeah, so there's been a few good things so far. There's been some alright stuff. Not to disparage the concept of film, but there's been some stuff so far this year. But what do you think's been good so far this year, Anahit?
Yeah, I'm also looking at my Letterboxd, and I feel like I've not seen anything really that has come out this year, which is kind of shocking.
Should I go to Ellie first?
No. I mean it more as a kind of like there
this
just
bit
hasn't.
Is over.
No, but just there hasn't been that much out. It feels in some ways, or maybe it's that some of the stuff was actually I suppose Nickel Boys was technically a release from January, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I think in the year, I never got around to seeing that, but I think it came out in like the first week of January.
Yeah, I really, really love that. So like Nickel Boys is really good. Sinners for me is like the film of the year. I'm Still Here. I think that was also from this year. Hard Truths was also from this year, but psychologically I think of all of these as from last year, maybe. But they were really, really good. I really enjoyed is the wrong word, but I was really moved by that film, The Encampments, that we talked about on the podcast like a few months ago, maybe. There was also a film that we never spoke about that, again, I watched at LFF last year called Holloway, which was about Holloway Prison, which was the largest women's prison in Europe and was literally backed onto the council estate that I grew up on. And so we would drive past it every day. And it was like this really interesting documentary that I think got a release in kind of early spring of this year. That was really good. That film April was also great, but also devastating. So yeah, there has been like a handful of stuff, but I think it's been a kind of weird year in that sort of in-betweeny bit. So there's been all of like the Oscars awards films from last year that kind of came out at the beginning of the year. And I feel like we're now waiting on the next wave of good films. and the in-between has been Sinners and nothing else.
And the finishing scheme was all right.
It was all right.
It was all right. It's always nice to have Wes and his merry men back on the block.
Yeah. It wasn't terrible, but I don't think it'll be in like my top 10 of the year.
No,
for example,
it wouldn't be in my top 5 Wes Anderson films.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
there you go. Ellie, any advance on Sinners, or just any advance on it's been a bit of a mid-year?
No, yeah, I agree. Like there has been some good films. Sinners has been the kind of one that is firing on all cylinders and hitting all notes, and also the one that like kind of everyone has seen as well, and that like even people who aren't like filmy have gone and seen it and kind of created a big buzz around it, which I really like. But I agree, like On Falling was really, really good. The Encampments was really, really good. The only things that weren't mentioned that I thought came out this year are 2 really, really long films. Number 1, Seeds of Sacred Fig. Which
that
was,
was technically...
that was good.
that was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like February, I think.
Was just everything. Like it was just, it had so many things going on. It was so kind of multi-genre, multi-tonal, but also just like, I don't know. Like in a way that obviously because it was made under such like specific conditions, because it was shot in Iran, right? Where like it was completely illegal to do this stuff. And you can kind of see that in the work of certain directors like Jafar Panahi, where like he does it in a very like low key guerrilla style way. But this felt like a blockbuster.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And I still don't really know how that happened, but it absolutely hit for me. And then the other film that was insanely long that I think actually started screening at the weird weekend at the end of last year, but I think became like available to order on its own website this year was Castration Movie, which is a film by Canadian director Louise Weird, and it's like a 3.5 hour long anthology film about people struggling with gender, but it's incredibly like no budget, quite like outrageous, quite sort of like, I don't know, really gritty, sort of almost John Waters-y in how like it really is just like about, you know, sex workers and drug dealers, these kind of like having a larger than life character but struggling with like very real things. And I believe that the second half of it, because, so the first half is 275 minutes. That came out earlier in the year, which I think that you can just buy if you maybe go to like matchboxcine.com. The second half, which I have no idea how long, is going to be coming out later this year. So that's the first thing that I have to look forward to.
Wonderful. Because, yes, we're going to talk about things that we're looking forward to. There is a new Jafar Panahi as well, which comes out in December. It's got a UK release date. Also, Spinal Tap 2. Will it be good? Probably not. But I'll probably still go and see it. I just don't like... I think one of the problems with that kind of sequel is that Spinal Tap 1 is really funny because it's like telling the whole story up till this point, so they can do all the kind of like when they were younger stuff. You can't do when they were younger when they're all old. So you're only ever kind of looking forward. You can't really do anything that's like referential of like the past of this group, which I think is just like a weird structural thing that makes sequels like that, especially when so much time has passed, not really work. But that is a very strange complaint to make about a film that I haven't seen, so there we go. The Mastermind is coming out in a couple of months. The Kelly Reichardt, Josh O'Connor one. We like Kelly Reichardt and we like Josh O'Connor, so that'll be good.
Yes.
Begonia, the new Yorgos Lanthimos.
I'm excited for Begonia.
Yeah, people seem to really like that.
Yeah, really good review. I think it's like a 5-star review from Stefania, who's out in Venice for us just now. So that's nice. Sentimental Value, the new Joachim Trier with Renata Reinsve in it, which is out on Boxing Day. So that'll be a fucking fun one, won't it? Take your whole family to oh no. I'll take my chances at the Bone Temple, thank you very much. But have either of you got anything else that you're looking forward to? I know you just said that Castration Movie 2's coming. That will be very good. I'm very much looking forward to the Jafar Panahi as well, so thank you for reminding me of that. Anahit, other than those 4 or 5 that I just kind of threw off the top, and then what Ellie just said, have you got anything else that you're looking forward to? There's got to be some good films on the way, because we just spoke about how there's been a big gap in the middle of this year.
Yeah, I think that the new Knives Out.
Oh, yeah.
Also has Josh O'Connor, I think, as the kind of lead, like, buddying up with Benoit Blanc kind of character. So I hope that will be great. 1,000 Nights of Hero, I'm really curious about, because it has, like, this crazy fucking cast. It's, like, Emma Corrin, Charlie XCX, But then
it has a crazy cast in that way that you don't often get. It's not just a loaded cast full of people that you recognize. It's full of a bunch of people that you would never put together.
No, exactly. Yeah. And like the guy from Limbo, what is he doing there? It's very kooky. But then the trailer, I don't know, it had a little bit of the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland vibe. Brackets derogatory, but I don't know if that is just like the trailer.
Yeah, because the trailer also gave me a big sense of, you know, when people do those like, I've made an AI trailer for like a live action version of The Simpsons if Wes Anderson directed it. It's just a bunch of like slow pans onto people that you recognize from off the telly in various costumes.
Yeah. So I don't know if that will be good. I feel like a little less like convinced by it. But in theory, it's something that I'm really excited for. I think there will be some stuff out. There will be something to look forward to. That's a Cineskinny promise. Are you going to London Film Festival? Yeah.
Excellent. So you'll be the first to know if any of these things
are
are worth bothering with. Ellie, have you got anything else, or are we...
No, not really. I did see a trailer recently for a film that I had no idea was happening called Good Fortune, which is where... I think it's by and starring Aziz Ansari, where Keanu Reeves plays... an angel, like from It's a Wonderful Life, and Aziz Ansari is like the long-suffering, sort of like, I don't know, manservant of Seth Rogen, who is like a douchey CEO tech billionaire. So Aziz Ansari is so unhappy with his life that Keanu Reeves decides to show him, well, if you swapped lives, things, you know, you would be just as unhappy, and then realizes that actually having loads of money does actually solve a lot of your problems.
I just love the idea of Keanu Reeves. It's like he's setting him up as if he's going to be the angel, and then the sirens from earlier in the podcast just start playing. Come with me, Mr. Ansari, I'm going to show you what you could have won. And they really got things done quickly down at the old Bone Temple.
It looks interesting for Keanu Reeves, because he hasn't really... He does the kind of John Wick thing, and like, remember that he used to be Ted from Bill and Ted? I know they made a new one of those. No, he used to be Bill. No, he used to be Ted.
He used to be one of them.
He used to be like a comedy bro. And like, there's a reason why he can't really do that, is because he's not a very good actor. But that can be funny. And I think it's going to be funny in this, where he's playing like a very kind of awkward and confused guardian angel.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
First things first, why am I here? Who are you? Well, you know what? I'm going to surprise you. That's an hour of podcasting.
Wow.
We've fucking done it.
Yeah.
We hit the mark.
It turns out we are good enough at this that we can just do an hour off the top.
We never need to watch a film again.
No.
We don't need Jamie.
Thank you, Annie. Cheers, Ellie.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks, I think. And Jamie, despite Anahit's protestations, Jamie will probably be back on the podcast. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this, I can't think why you wouldn't. And I'm sure that it's all made it in as well, and there haven't been any hasty edits or like weird cutouts halfway through. If you've enjoyed it, tell your friends. We're on Letterboxd. I can't remember the last time we updated the Letterboxd, so there might all of a sudden be a glut of reviews on there next time someone goes on. And yes, thank you very much for listening, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to go and buy a new television.
Yes.
And hopefully it won't be listening to me the entire time.